Everybody's making a difference today. But what exactly is going to happen? Who's going to come out? Who won't? What will it mean for us today? Who better to answer the questions in the panel we have with us? We have ABC's Cokie Roberts. We have Matt Dowd, who is both ABC political consultant and political strategist. So we'll get a lot out of you today. And, of course, NPR's senior political analyst, Juan Williams. Thank you to everybody. Let's look at what needs to happen today for each of these gentlemen to win. For Barack Obama to win, who must come out and vote, Cokie?
Well, it would be good for him if the young voters showed up in the kinds of numbers that they have been talking about. That would obviously help him enormously, and a lot of people who've never voted before, first-time voters. But he needs the people that everybody needs. He needs independents. He needs some women. He needs some Catholics.
Makes it interesting today because the polls are only as good as the turnout, and there are some areas that it could be soft for Obama. Now, on the other side, McCain, who does he need out, Juan?
I think what you've got, if you look at the undecided voters right now, it basically boils down to people we referred to earlier in other cycles as soccer moms or security moms. Now they're Walmart moms or mortgage moms, and they're the heart of the undecided voters, and they're white women, typically suburban women. I think of them as a suburban woman outside of Columbus, Ohio. John McCain needs those women in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Missouri to come out in big numbers in support of him. They got to break his way if he has a chance today. And
they are trending toward him right now. So
they have been.
It's a potential body of strength for him. Now, so a group we don't usually hear about as swing voters, Catholics. Mr. Matthew here, traditionally New Deal Democrats, moved in, and we saw in 2004, big push for President Bush, looking as more of a morality vote. But now with the economic times, they could break. I know they're important. They voted 8 out of 9 times for the right president, right? They had the winning president. Why are they big now?
Yeah, they're exceptionally important. To take a sort of microcosm of being Irish Catholic, I have 10 brothers and sisters. In 2000, they split. In 2004, they slightly favored George W. Bush. In this year, they're overwhelmingly, my family is overwhelmingly voting for Barack Obama in this election, driven exclusively by the economy. And Catholic voters follow a pattern much like other voters, though they do have some moral issues. This year, almost every one of the Catholic voters is number one issue is the economy, especially in the Midwest where the battleground on this race has been.
So interesting, the morality being outweighed by the economy. A lot of Catholics, 47 million, a lot of them Florida, Ohio, New Mexico.
Interesting 40% of the vote.
So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's just we don't usually talk about it. It's interesting. So now let's look at what this could mean, the perception of the potential upside and downside for each of these gentlemen if they win. When we look at Obama, what do you believe the perception is in terms of what the benefit could be and what the potential burden of a President Obama?
Well, the perception of the benefit obviously is change. I mean, that has been the mantra of this election, and that's what people seem to be quite ready for. But the other benefit is obviously a symbolic one that is important, an important symbol of an African American being elected president in this country where race has been the sin staining America. And I think that perception would certainly be something that people would respond to.
And with McCain, what do we see there, Juan?
Well, I think it's all about leadership, and that's what's an issue or a theme that he tried to develop during the campaign, and it particularly applies to foreign policy. So that you'd say in terms of that, critical moment, 3 o'clock in the morning, who answers the phone? There are lots of people who would say, well, John McCain knows foreign policy. He's been around the block. He knows how Washington works. And in that sense, you have someone who would be a steady hand. And I think for lots of people, the downside would be, Chris, that they'd say, John McCain can be a quick-to-temper guy. And his ability to maybe fly off the handle to get us into more conflict would be the downside of that administration.
And Matt, what do you see?
Well, I think the interesting thing about either one of them getting elected, I think on tomorrow morning they're going to be under immense pressure because I think the country is going to see they're going to see them as the president because of President Bush's job approval rating being so low and the American public having tuned him out. I actually think the first 100 days of the next administration doesn't start on January 20th, starts tomorrow morning. So they're going to have to show immense movement on what they're going to do to bring confidence in the economy, but that is a pressure that no other candidate will have felt.
It is a unique time, obviously, because the economy. It was interesting, though, in doing the research for this, the impact on the markets. What could this mean for the economy? Traditionally, the first year for all presidents, the Dow's been up 4.9%. For Democratic presidents, actually up 6%. So odd, but these are certainly unique times. And looking at it that way, coming out of the election, what could be the big surprise today, Cokie?
The big surprise in terms of who?
Any way you want to look at it, any surprise.
I think one surprise could be the Nebraska congressional district. We could have Nebraska casting a vote for a Democrat in this presidential race because they don't go winner take all.
Very interesting. Juan?
Well, I don't think it's a surprise. I think lots of people have said, you know what, the Democrats could gain control of the Senate. But what happens internally is going to be a surprise. I think lots of the moderate Republicans are disappearing. People who are threatened today are people like John Sununu up in New Hampshire. You think of Gordon Smith out in Oregon. You think of people like Elizabeth Dole down in North Carolina. Those are moderate Republicans. And if they're gone, then suddenly you have a much more politicized and sort of, antagonistic politics taking place in the Senate when people think, oh, this is an election where we have people coming to the middle.
Let me ask a quick question to each of you to finish this. I'm starting with you, Matt. If they lose, the two vice presidential candidates, what happens to each of them if they lose?
Well, Joe Biden goes back to the Senate. Obviously, he's a pillar of the Senate. He's not going to ever run for president again. This is his sort of last time on the national stage in this way. So he goes back to the Senate and then discusses things with John McCain as president. Sarah Palin, I think she's still a very big presence on the national stage because she's popular among part of the Republican base. I think she goes back to Alaska. She shows that she can govern Alaska and tries to expand her portfolio a little bit of substance. But she's going to be a player on the national stage.
If McCain loses, what does he do?
I think he goes back to the Senate. I don't think that he's going to retire and disappear into Sedona, Arizona. Remember, Strom Thurmond was there to 100. And I think John McCain actually, in that scenario that I described for you, where you have a hard right wing of the Republican Party, in the Senate, he becomes a deal maker. He's the guy that the Democrats have to go through, and he has a history of being that kind of, icon of bipartisanship in the Senate.
And Obama, quickly?
If Obama loses,
yes,
he goes back to the Senate, but he does not run for president again. I think that this was his shot, and that's why he took it this year.
All right. Cokie Roberts, Matt Dowd, Juan Williams, thank you to each of you.
Thank you, Chris.
Very much. Appreciate it.